person that was shot was my driver. We were together on Monday, being 12th of October, going to Ikechukwu to see one of my clients. Then on our way, we noticed heavy traffic. Then I saw people, young boys, doing some peaceful demonstration. They were just carrying placards. My driver was on top of the pavement there at the stadium. Immediately I had about 2-3 shots. All that I was that he fell down.
They shot someone, so I was drunk. There's actually a casualty.
During the heat of the EndSARS protests in October 2020, a number of protesters were injured and arrested by men of the Nigerian police force. While covering the protests, The Cable came across the viral video of a man said to have been killed after shots were fired from some policemen positioned between Area C Police Station Ojuelegba and the National Stadium. His name was Ikechukwu Iloamuzor, a driver who had been caught in the traffic of the protests with his boss and stood on the culvert observing what was happening. The Cable, in a video interview that soon after became widespread, spoke with the boss and wife of the deceased. Ikechukwu's wife had only one request of the government.
I want them to find the person that killed my husband.
In the months after Mr. Iloamuzor's death, The Cable began a journey with his widow as she sought justice. This is the story of the real lives affected after losing a loved one to police brutality. The Cable uncovers. In the days following the interview which The Cable published, Babajide Snawo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, visited Ngozi Iloamuzor, the widow of Ikechukwu Iloamuzor. He said that the state would work to provide justice for her family. 2 months later, Ikechukwu was to be laid to rest in Ibuzo, Amokwe, his hometown. His death certificate obtained by The Cable shows that his cause of death was exsanguination due to the eruption of his right jugular vein by a penetrating missile. In this picture of him taken shortly after he died, we can see the bullet still lodged in his neck. In a burial ceremony well attended by his community, Ikechukwu was buried like the illustrious kinsman that he was said to have been. His widow, on the other hand, went through the customary shaving off of her hair to signify the beginning of her mourning period. What she would later realize is that once the burial was over, she would begin a lonely journey to getting justice for her late husband. Six months after the burial, I met up with Ngozi somewhere in Lagos. She had moved out of a former apartment where she lived with the late Ikechukwu because the rent had expired before he died. However, some good Samaritans helped her get a small space where she could lay low as she mourned him and picked up the pieces of her life. She spent most of her days indoors wearing her customary mourning white dress and waiting to be called to the Lagos State Judicial Panel for her husband's case. So, can you tell us from that time that the governor saw you up to now, can you tell us what has happened between that time and now?
Since then till now, there's nothing have happened. They have not called me. And we have finished the burial. And people, I'm hearing when I come back, I start hearing, people are telling me, they said they paid me 20 million. But I didn't see anything like that. They never give me anything. Every day I cried because I don't know how I'll just lose my husband just like that. They say they will pay. Even the lawyer that the human rights lawyer that took the case, anytime I call her, they say she will tell me that government says it's not yet my turn. Not yet my turn. But my husband is the first person they killed. I think by now they're supposed to at least make me feel better. Give me something to take live in my life. To give me something that will make me, that I will start my life again. Because all my hope, they have taken everything that I have. Assuming my husband is alive, he's the one that providing. Even his mother, he's the one that providing for his mother. But nobody. And before my husband, before he died, we are preparing to adopt children. But now, nobody.
As we took a stroll together that afternoon, she told me that she would be traveling back to the village a few weeks from that time to perform the customary rites signifying the end of her mourning period. And so, we shipped to Enugu State and made our way to Ibuzo Amokwe on the day slated for the performance of the said rites. When we got there, Ikechukwu's sister was already waiting to lead us to the Iloamuzor compound, as there were no visible street signs or names to follow. We finally got to the house where Ikechukwu Iloamuzor was born and raised, a humble abode. We met his widow in tears as she relived the horror of losing her husband. While she was being attended to, Ikechukwu's brother prepared for the customary cannon shooting to announce to the entire village that the customary mourning period of his brother was now over. He prepared the small cannons which he buried in the sand. He poured some dry sand and laid some gunpowder ready to be ignited. Back in the house, it was time to shave Ngozi's head yet again. Her mother-in-law was assigned as the barber, and I was told that if Ngozi had died during the mourning period, it would be assumed that it was because she had killed her husband. But she survived this, proving her innocent. And so the shaving began. When it was completed, Ngozi's hair was collected together in a scarf to be burned later that evening. Over in the kitchen, a kettle was heating up some bath water for her. She would then go on to have a clean bath and wear new clothes.
So, can you show us your husband's grave? Your husband's grave?
Yeah, this is my husband's grave.
Here, where we parked?
Yeah, here.
There was nothing to show that we had pulled over on top of her husband's grave. Out of respect, we moved our car away from the site. Due to security reasons, we couldn't wait till dusk to witness the burning of her shaved hair and mourning clothes. Ngozi made this video and sent it to us. The mourning was now over, but justice still a long way to go. Four months and 3 sittings at the Lagos State Judicial Panel later, Ngozi was asked to appear because the panel had made a decision concerning Ikechukwu's case.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Feeling good. But not happy, Sha.
So can you tell us where you are going to this morning? Where are you going to?
I'm going to panel.
What's happening there today?
They call me to come to panel. I don't know what to happen. Let me go and know what they are calling me.
Have you been to the panel before today?
Yes.
And what happened the last time you went?
They just asked me who am I the wife of Ikechukwu Iloamuzor? I said yes. And they asked me how am I feeling, how the something touched me. What did I want them to do to? And I tell them I need justice and adequate compensation.
So, on Monday, 18th of October 2021, Ngozi, amongst other petitioners, showed up at the Lagos Court of Arbitration where the panel sits to know her fate. As we waited for the panel to begin their sitting, we caught up with Ngozi's lawyer, Victoria Awobusoye, of the Citizens Gavel.
I'm Victoria Awobusoye, legal associate with Citizens Gavel Foundation for Social Justice. On the 12th day of October 2020, we got news that the late Ikechukwu Iloamuzor was shot by stray bullets at Ojuelegba Stadium bus stop Surulere. So we came aboard, and days later, I think it was the 13th or 14th or thereabout, I received a call from my team lead that we were to come aboard the case, and ever since then we've been monitoring it. So we followed up the case. We helped the complainant, that's the wife, the family, and the boss of the deceased. We went with them to the state CID, and we also followed them to Lagos State Police Command Headquarters where they took their statements, and we guarded them through. Also, we've been following up with the Lagos State government to know the status of the case at the Lagos State High Court. But it's to our dismay that we've really not gotten heads way on that. Hence the reason we came to the panel and we brought an application to the panel for recommendation. So at the panel, we weren't heard until August 2021 because of the high influx of cases that were sent here. So we rounded off the case in September with, they were called once for examination in chief, and we adjourned for defense twice. However, the police didn't have any witness. I wonder why. We have been trying to get justice. We've been trying to follow up at the Lagos State High Court, but we were not given the names of the defendants, of the police officers who allegedly shot, to follow up with. If we were given their names, it would have been easy for us to properly chase up the case as the counsel counsel watching brief for the family. But we don't even know who the defendants are. We learned we don't know the status of their legal advice. We don't know anything. We don't know whether the case has gone to the High Court at all. It has really been a very exhausting case because the police has really not made it easy for us. And according to what I was informed, in all fairness to them, they had sent the case file to the DPP and the DPP admitted that the case file was with them. However, we don't know why they've not given us headsway as to the prosecution at the Lagos State High Court, and I will adjourn all necessary quarters to do the needful so that we can get justice. Today the matter is for decision at the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry, and we hope for the best because they've honestly not read their decision, but we hope for the best. We hope the family is properly compensated, and we also hope that proper recommendations are taken and implemented by the state government.
Soon enough, the panel started its business for the day. It was the valedictory session of the panel, and decisions were read out. Then it came to Ngozi's turn.
Panel's decision, the panel files a petition meritorious and hereby makes an award of 10 million naira in favor of the deceased family for the unlawful killing of the deceased Ikechukwu Iloamuzor by the police.
An overwhelmed Ngozi went behind the courtroom to shed some tears. The journey was now halfway traveled. Though thankful for the compensation, it could never bring her husband back. The end of one journey marks the beginning of another. It's hard not to think about what the policemen who killed Ikechukwu Iloamuzor on October 12, 2020 are up to. Not much has been heard of what steps the police is taking to ensure that they do not go scot-free. Attempts to speak with the police about this proved abortive. It is hard not to remember the late Ikechukwu Iloamuzor when I go past the Area C police station or by the culvert where his blood spilled uncontrollably. As Ngozi continues in her struggle, I have only one hope: that justice may prevail.